Thank you for being here, and I'm so grateful to be of service to you today. So today I'll be speaking about The Big Leap. Wow, this is a book a girlfriend recommended to me, and I want to share this talk with you. In The Big Leap, it says, the number one problem that keeps you from moving into your zone of genius is the upper limit problem. Now, this is a universal human tendency to sabotage ourselves when we reach an artificial upper limit that we have created for ourselves. The upper limit problem was caused when we had a thermostat that was set way too low of our ability to succeed and to enjoy our success. And this thermostat was set low when we were too young to even think for ourselves. But then we became adults, all of a sudden we wanted to grow in love, in joy, in abundance, in creativity, and we sabotaged our life and brought us back down to the thermostat setting where we felt comfortable, where we felt familiar, which was in our sphere of acceptance. So it is through our awareness, it is through our practice, our spiritual practice, that we recognize that good is without bound. And only good, and more good can be in our life. It is through this that we can jump out of the box and onto the spiral to expand and to grow into your zone of genius. There is a scientific study done where they had a fish tank of fish in there, and in there they put a wall that was made of plexiglass. And the fish would swim up to the wall, and they would bump their little noses and swim away, and swim up to the wall, bump their noses and swim away, and again. So the fish were conditioned that they had a limit. And so when they took the plexiglass out of the aquarium or out of the glass box, the fish would bump their wall in an imaginary limit. They wouldn't go past it. And this is exactly what happens to us. We have been conditioned that we can only succeed so much. We can only have so much love, only so much good, only so much grace in our life. But that's not the truth. That's not the spiritual truth of our being. For Ernest Holmes tells us that there's a powerful good in the universe, and it is so much greater than we are, and we can use it. And it is through our spiritual practice, and it is through awareness that we can bust those barriers, bust those walls, and get on to that spiral of expansion and live in that zone of genius. Gay Hendricks, the author of The Big Leap, he discovered this one day when he was in his office, and he was sitting back and he was enjoying all the good in his life and all the wellness that he was feeling. Every part of his life was going good, the inside and the outside. And then he started to think about his daughter, Amanda. Amanda went off to soccer, and he was thinking that she's probably in her dorm, and she's crying, and all the kids are probably picking on her, and she's miserable right now. And all of a sudden, all the joy was swept out from under him, and he hurried up, and he called the dorm where the dorm mother was to ask about Amanda, and the dorm mother said, "Well, Gay, Amanda's doing great. She's outside playing soccer with all the other kids. Don't worry, all the other parents call up also." And that made him think, wow, I was in this really good feeling space. And then I manufactured all these ill pictures in my mind and these negative thoughts. And I brought myself down to my thermostat where this feels familiar to me. And as he turned that light on within his mind, he recognized that in his relationship with his wife, what he would do is everything would be going nice and smooth. And then he would pick a fight. And it would bring it right down to this place where he feels familiar. Or it would be going nice and smooth in his relationship. And he would criticize her just to bring it all back down to that lower thermostat. And then he recognized that he did this with his health also. He would work out, and he would eat right, and then he would spend a whole weekend, and he would binge, he would be on fatty foods, and he would just ruin it all and start feeling bad again. So he realized that he had to make a commitment to himself. It is through that awareness that he was sabotaging his life and he was manufacturing negative feelings. So he thought, could I extend the amount of time in my life that I feel good? Could I extend the amount of time in my life that I feel good? Like right here, right now, not good because something outside of me made me feel good, just to know my wholeness of who I am. Like in our spiritual practice, when we pray and meditate, we have this feeling of wholeness. Can I take that out into the world and extend that time a little bit longer than I have been? And he said, yes, I am willing to increase the amount of time every day that I feel good inside. And if you're willing to commit to that, can you please repeat this with me? Yes, I am willing to increase the amount of time every day that I feel good inside. And then he thought, well, if I did that to feel good inside, can I do that to feel good outside? Can I increase the amount of time in my outer life where the abundance is going well, and I'm not making crazy, or the relationship is going well, the work is going well, the creativity is going well, I'm not manufacturing made-up stories in my mind. And he said, yes, I am willing to increase the amount of time that my whole life goes well. And can you repeat that with me if you would like to commit to this? Yes, I am willing to increase the amount of time that my whole life goes well. And then he thought, you know what? I need to put both of those together. I need to increase the amount of time that my life feels good, and then my life goes well. And you might say, come on, Reverend Lori, like who is not going to agree with that, right? Well, actually, this is a very radical statement. A very radical statement. Just notice yourself when you go home today, how all of a sudden you start to manufacture thoughts that no longer serve you, that bring you out of that good feeling place. And so he said, yes, I'm willing to feel good and have my life go well all the time. And if you agree with that, please repeat with me. Yes, I am willing to feel good and have my life go well all the time. So, your zone of genius is the entry gate to the Garden of Miracles, is what Gay Hendricks says. And so, in order to get to the Garden of Miracles, we have to be aware of the barriers that block the Garden of Miracles. Now, there's 4 barriers, according to the Big Leap, that block the Garden of Miracles. And the first barrier is that we fundamentally feel like we're flawed. That sounds familiar, right? There's something within us that feels like we don't deserve or we're not enough. And then when we get to this place of success, we say to ourselves, oh, you could have done better. Like, I know this is probably my favorite one because I live this a lot. And as much as I know it, I still have to continue to be aware of it. I'll put together a talk, and then I'll sit down after the talk, and I'll say, yeah, no, you could have done better. After all those hours and all that time that I put into that talk, I was bringing myself way down to that place where I feel familiar. So when we become aware of this, we can stop ourselves from sabotaging our life, and we can stay on this divine flow on a higher level. The second barrier that keeps us from receiving our good is that if we succeed, then we will be disloyal to the people we leave behind. Right. If we succeed, we're going to be disloyal to the people that we leave behind. Because when we're on a spiral of expansion, sometimes we do leave people behind. And we're not really being disloyal to them. We're being loyal to ourselves, and we're being loyal to them because we're allowing them to get on their spiral of genius also. And the third barrier that could keep us from receiving our good or at a lower thermostat level, well, if you're an oops baby, like you weren't expected in the family, maybe your family made you feel that you were a burden to the world. And if you carry that along with you, that you're a burden to the world, it will keep you from really expressing your greater good out into the world. And then there's one more barrier. Don't shine your light too brightly because you might outshine someone in your past, right? So maybe there's a sibling that you were outshining, and your parents don't want you to do that. And so we take that with us in our lives. Now, Gay Hendricks had a a client, her name was Nancy, and she wrote a mystery novel, and this mystery novel became a bestseller. And the publisher wanted her to write more novels, but she was having an upper limit problem. So Gay said, well, tell me about your day. She said, well, I wake up, and I get my kids ready, and I get them off to school, and then I get my husband ready, and I get him off to work, and then I come home, and I clean the house, and I make a grocery list, and I might write if I have a little bit of time, and sometimes I have time for a nap. He said, okay, so your priority is number 1, your family, and number 2, your cleaning. Well, I really don't want to make my cleaning my priority, but I can't write unless I have a clean house. Well, why not? Because if my husband comes home and he sees the house is dirty, well, he's going to probably think, if he does come home and you're writing, that maybe he has a creative wife and that is her priority. She said yes. But what they discovered was that her cleaning was her upper limit problem. Because as long as she continued to clean and she couldn't get that book done, maybe that book wasn't going to be enough. It's that fundamental feeling that you're flawed. So you'll make excuses not to do what you're supposed to be doing in your zone of genius. And then she remembered that her sisters were insanely jealous when her book became a bestseller. So if she does another book and it becomes a bestseller, she's going to lose the love from her family. And so he reminded her to go there and to write those bestsellers and to allow your family to step on their zone of genius. So there are 4 zones in which we do our activities on a daily basis. And the first zone is the zone of incompetence. And this is where, let's say we have a plumbing problem, we don't know how to do the plumbing. So we just turn on YouTube and we learn how to do it on YouTube, and it takes us 8 hours to fix this plumbing problem. We could have just hired somebody, right? This is the zone of incompetence. And the second box would be the zone of competence, where this is something that everyone can do. And a lot of successful people spend their time in the zone of competence, like Nancy. If she would just hire someone to do the cleaning, then she could actually focus on her zone of genius, right? And then we have the zone of excellence. And in the zone of excellence, you're doing what you're really, really good at. As a matter of fact, you could probably do it in your sleep. And everyone wants you to stay there. Your family wants you to stay there. Your organization wants you to stay there. Your kids want you to stay there because you're safe there. But there's something within you that is sacred. There's something within you that wants more. There's something within you that wants to jump out of that box and wants to jump onto that spiral of genius, so you can express your peak potentiality in the world. Because there are many activities that only you can do yourself, that only you are made for, because you are the creator of the zone of genius. Now, in the religious science textbooks, it was forwarded, the new one, by Jean Houston, and she gave 2 of Ernest Holmes' quotes that pretty much depicted the religious science teaching. One is, the innermost God and the outermost God is the one God. And the next one is, the core of who you are is that you are the original creative genius of the universe. Yes, you are the original creative genius of the universe. And just like Michael Paul said, you are amazing. And there's only these activities that you can do and that you can express, and no one else can do them like you. And you will never really be a fulfilled person unless you continually live in that zone of genius, unless you continue to expand, you continue to grow, you continue to be more of who you are. I think I forgot my ultimate genius. Here it is. And so Gay Hendricks, he has a mantra, and it says, I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. And when this is a mantra, it's not just an affirmation, it's a mantra that he teaches his clients to use. And if you buy the book, you can find the spiritual practice in that book. It's a very beautiful spiritual practice. Or you can sign up for my Wednesday night email list, and I'll send it to you. But in the spiritual practice, you're actually going into expansion instead of contraction. So I expand in abundance, I expand in success, I expand in love. And as I do that, I inspire all those around me to do the same. And this is what you are here to do. You are here to get on that expansion, to get onto that spiral, and expand in every single area of your life, and only a way that you can do it and no one else can do it. And as I thought, let me tell you, if you don't do it, this is what's going to happen to you. And I know you have probably experienced this because I have experienced it many times before. The universe is going to keep tickling you, right? And it's going to keep giving you the feather and teasing you to get on the spiral, get on the spiral. And you're not going to get on the spiral because you're what do you call it? When you're fudgy, so anyways, you don't get on. And so this is what I've done. And what happens, the universe is going to give you the universal smackdown. You know what the universal smackdown is? The universe is going to wrestle you to the ground. It's going to put you in a headlock, and it's going to make you scream, uncle, right? I know I've done that before. I can talk many times of when I've done it. I'll just give you one small example. When I was in my 20s, I met a very beautiful man inside and out. And he wanted to get married, but I wasn't ready. So I said, 30 years old, I'll be ready to get married. Well, 30s came around, and I realized that we weren't the right match anymore. He was a hunter and a fisher, and his zone of genius was in the East Coast, and I was a California girl. My zone of genius was here. But I loved him so much, and I loved his family so much, and his family had a family business. So they had my career all planned out for me. I was going to get married, have kids, work in my box of competency, okay? And then I would be good for the rest of my life because I'll be where they want me to be. And so my soul was crying, and it was crying very loud, and I didn't know how to deal with it because I didn't want to leave those that I loved behind me. At the time, I was working at Radio City Music Hall, and I was doing 5 shows a day with the Rockettes. I was working in my box of excellence. The first one starting at 9 in the morning, the last one starting at 9 o'clock. And I wasn't listening to that call, and I started to get sick. And I started to get sicker, and I was ignoring it, and I was dancing, and I started to turn yellow, and all of a sudden, my body was breaking down. They had to carry me out in a stretcher, and the family had to come get me. And during that time, I realized that I'm being taken down by the universe because I'm not listening to my inner call. And so finally, I had that difficult talk with him and with the family, and we made plans for me to move out west. However, I thought I was being disloyal to them. That's why I couldn't do it. And when I realized today, I wasn't being disloyal to them. I was being loyal to them. And I was being loyal to myself because I gave them the opportunity to jump on that spiral and to expand. And they did, to get the perfect person for him and for this family. So you are here to inspire others by continuing to expand and grow in your life in all areas. About a month ago, I saw a keynote speaker. His name was Don Yeager, and he spoke about running for my life. He wrote a book about Warwick Dunn. He is a football player, and I'm just going to tell you now, I can't believe I'm telling a football story. So I'm telling a football story because it really isn't the football story. It's this man inspired me to really move past any fear barriers that I may have in my life. And he was a beautiful young man, and his mom, her name is Betty Smothers. And Betty Smothers was a Baton Rouge police officer, and she also worked as a security guard because she had 6 children, and she was a single mother. And of course, he was a football star. He was only 187 pounds. He was 5'9", and he was a very quick running back. Many colleges came to the family and offered them scholarships for him to go to their school, and him and his mother decided that he would go to Florida State. The next evening, his mother went to work, and she didn't come home because she was shot and killed in the line of duty. So this young man loses his childhood. He loses his innocence. He loses whatever he thought was good out into the world. He all of a sudden becomes a father of 5 siblings, and he has his football scholarship. Well, he bust through these barriers, and he went to college, and he took the 5 siblings with him, and his focus was football, school, and family. Football, school, and family. And his football career was so successful that he was picked up by the NFL. So he became NFL Rookie of the Year, NFL Man of the Year. I can't believe I know this one. Walter Payton, NFL Man of the Year. And he was on the Buccaneers, and he was on the Atlanta Falcons. So he had a very, very successful career. And let me show you a picture of him in his Buccaneer outfit. Only 187 pounds. Amazing, right? Successful. And so what he did, he started giving back to the community, and he wanted to do something in honor of his mother. And his mother always wanted to have a home to raise her 6 children in. So he started to purchase single-family homes. He would put the down payment on them, and he would give them to mothers who have children. He called it Home for the Holidays. He would furnish the home with appliances and furniture. He gave out over 150 homes. If this isn't something in honor of Betty's mother, that's one home. Look at the family. This brings you to tears. Wow. So inspiring. Yeah, give him a big hand. Right. However, Dunwarwick had an upper limit problem. He had success. He had abundance. He inspired others in his life to do because of what he has done. But his heart was closed. He couldn't let another woman into his heart. And so he went to therapy, and I believe probably one of the reasons is because he was afraid that he would be disloyal to his mother, right? He was afraid that maybe he was flawed or it would happen again to him. So he went to years and years and years of therapy, and they decided that he was to go, or he decided he was to go and meet the man that shot and killed his mother and to face him face to face. So he went to the prison and they had this meeting. And during that time, he told this gentleman everything that had happened in his life without his mother and how terrible it was and how he cried every single night for her. And as he had cried, the man on the other side of the window cried too. However, the man on the other side was not going to take responsibility for what he did. However, Warwick Dunn said, I am not here to accuse anybody for what they did. I am here to forgive somebody for killing my mother. Because as I forgive them, then I can forgive myself. And as I forgive them, I can move past this barrier and I can allow love in my life. And he said, my mother always told me that every day I wake up and I have 2 choices. I can be bitter or I can be better. And today I'm going to decide to be better. That was Dunwarwick. And he has inspired me to get on that spiral, and I hope he inspires you to get on that spiral, because when you're on that spiral, you're going to grow and you're going to expand every day in love, in joy, in abundance, in health, in wealth. And as you do that, you inspire all people around you to do the same. Let me see if I can get this together. Let's say this one more time. I expand in abundance, success, and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. The big leap. Remember that you are the original creative genius of the universe. Thank you. Thank you.